building and the finance building are heating. The protagonist is complaining to the boss that he was part of the project. So why won't they put his name on it so he can also receive a share? However, the dim bald guy said that everything he did belongs to him since in that company, he's the boss. Our guy clenches his fist, saying that doesn't make sense, and leaves the room saying that only if Cool continues working in that place. He starts collecting all of his belongings from the desk. His friends call him Yang Chen and tell him to calm down, that he has bills to pay, has to take care of his girlfriend and her father. Tenderly, he looks at her photo that he always kept on the desk and leaves, saying that his parents, but they passed away, left the car in a house, so he will work as a driver for a ride-hailing app for now. He goes to the company's parking lot and talks to his girlfriend. After telling her that he was going to work as a driver for a while, she said she was going to break up with him. She knew he wouldn't be able to give her the life she wanted. Jin tried calling her, but the poor guy's number had already been blocked. Leaving on the car, he cried, saying that this day is only getting worse. What kind of misery is this? However, he's a resilient guy and opens the car door, saying he will have to move on with life. There's nothing to do. He makes a foolish face to hide his emotions, and a message arrives saying that a ride 1 kilometer away was found. He immediately accepts without thinking because you know she could be fired. Let's go. A while later, he arrives where the app marked, but the client says she is still finishing her makeup. Chen angrily curses, asking why she called the Uber if she hasn't even finished her makeup yet. However, she says that if he doesn't wait, he will get that 1-star rating. He goes to hang up, saying he doesn't care about this nonsense, and immediately receives a negative review from the girl, saying that he disrespected her. But suddenly, he hears a sparkling sound and gets scared. A girl who, wow, this one never went hungry at any point in her life. She says he was selected to receive the negative review system and asks if he wants to accept. Chen is confused, asking what this negative review thing is. The well-nourished girl says it's exactly as it sounds. As long as he receives negative reviews, he will get everything he wants. He has nothing to lose anyway, so he accepts right away. And wow, this system activates in a very interesting way. She advises that besides the negatives, it's good to have some positives to keep getting rides to do. Since he just received a complaint, he earns 28% of the shares of a certain island group, and he has to go there now to get them. The psycho just accepts, saying it's a gift and good, and so he goes. Immediately, a ride request arrives asking to go exactly to that island hotel. With a black eye from crying so much, he accepts right away and arrives, saying that he's the girl's driver. She then starts driving her to the destination. However, as soon as he glances in the rearview mirror, she asks why he's staring at her. Embarrassed, she says he was looking at the road and not at her. He needs to do that to drive. Annoyed, she says that he doesn't know how to drive, is very slow. At this point, he speeds up. A girl starts to cry, telling him to calm down. But now it's too late. She tries to hold on and begs him to slow down. He says he won't crash since he's in the same car, but if she wants him to slow down, she has to call him Daddy. Desperately crying, she complies. With that, he brakes, but it was right in front of the island hotel, which was the destination. But she gets out trembling, saying he went too far and that she will leave a negative review and inform the police. Due to the negative review, the system tells him he will receive the heating building. He gets excited immediately since it's the one he used to work at. He then enters the hotel, and right next to the receptionist is the girl he brought. She calls him a perverted stalker and asks what he's doing there. However, he just ignores her, saying he has a reservation there too. He shows his phone and the receptionist confirms that it's table 8. She also hands him a document with a share transfer. He walks away with his nose in the air, and the well-nourished girl behind him thinks she judged him wrong but still won't forgive him. The receptionist brings our boy a coffee, and the well-nourished girl passes by him with an angry face. She greets a guy in front and he realizes she is on a blind date. At that moment, something catches his attention. A bald man enters with 2 Walmart dolls. The blonde girl says she saw someone she knows and tells the bald guy to wait for her there. She then goes to our protagonist and says that Fei Fang already broke up with him. So why is he there? Jin tells her not to think so highly of herself because he's not interested in a woman who dates a guy old enough to be her father. She gets angry and gives him a fierce look. From behind, the bald Mr. Leg calls for her. She turns around saying she's fine and that he should go to the table as she'll be right there. The blue-haired girl is the protagonist's ex, and now the bald guy wants to know who he is. He says he's Fei Fei's ex and asks if the bald guy is the new fool. The guy grabs her chin and asks if this is true. The most dishonest girl in China says that actually she broke up with him a long time ago and he's been stalking her. The guy says it's okay. She doesn't need to cry. He'll handle this guy. He then tells our boy to stop bothering his girlfriend and turns to the receptionist, asking her to bring the manager. Fei Fei tells our boy that it's better he leaves or he will get into trouble. And the Wang Jie girl at the next table says he's weird and now she's curious to see how he will resolve this. The guy on a blind date with her asks if she knows that guy and she says no, he's just the driver who brought her there. She also says he was very rude, kept speeding up, and almost killed them both, which is why she left a negative review. The guy gets up angrily, saying he will teach the kid a lesson. He walks towards him, and she tells him to wait. But Zhang's hair asks the protagonist if he was the one who brought her there. He says yes. And what's the problem? A guy says he's her blind date and that he better kneel now and apologize or he will be kicked out of there. Our boy says he is very brave and asks who his father is. A guy says his father is the president of a group of shares that will invest in this hotel. Chen responds that he's curious to see what they will try to do against him. At that moment, someone else approaches. It's a blonde guy sucking up to Mr. Lee, saying they haven't seen each other in a long time. He sees the other guy there and says it's an honor to meet him too. It really is a lucky day. Mr. Lai says it's his girlfriend's birthday today, but that guy is bothering him. Couldn't be having kicked out. The other guy says the same, that he was offended on his blind date and wanted thrown out of there. The blonde says the kid is very bold and asks who he is then. The two look back saying it's that jerk sitting there, but the blonde is shot because he just came from a meeting where they showed a picture of the protagonist as one of the new shareholders. So he asks the security guards to expel the baldy and Zhang. The bald guy says he's crazy because he's the one who delivers food to the place, and Zhang says his father was even going to invest. However, the guy approaches our boy with his nose in the air and says he's the second largest shareholder. Baldy and the two Walmart girls are stunned, and Wan Jie concludes that he was just driving to experience life, and now it's clear why he's so arrogant. Chen asks if they didn't hear or not. Come on, it's time to leave. Mao, with tears in her eyes, Fei Fei says she was stupid to have broken up with him and doesn't know what to do to get him back. Suddenly, she kneels and says she didn't do anything with the old man besides holding his hands. However, the blonde says not to trust the gold digger and claims she's still pure. Our boy just thinks that they're fighting each other. The bald guy apologizes, saying that if he had known he was her ex, he would never have done something like that. But already tired of this, he slams his cup on the table and tells the receptionist to get those guys out of there. Chen salutes to saying yes sir and immediately calls security. With that, everyone is dragged out except for Zhang, whom the blonde guy says is the son of the investor. However, Chen says he doesn't care to take him out too. Without options, the blonde guy calls security and tells Zhang he is no longer welcome there. Zhang, angry, says Chen only has shares in this Glacier hotel and he will leave anyway. He turns, calling Miss Wang to go have dinner somewhere else. Chen realizes that if the guy invited the girl, even in this situation, he's interested in her. So shamelessly, he asks if she wants a blind date with him. He picks a colorful piece of grass and asks if she wants to have a chat. She thinks that since both are rich, why not choose the more fun and handsome one? She approaches and says that since he's being so sincere, she will accept. The guy gets angry, saying she's embarrassing him. However, quickly changing her tune, she says he involved himself in the fight, so it's better not to blame her. Zhang says if she humiliates him like this, she will suffer the consequences. But our boy puts a hand on her shoulder, sits her down, and says that if Zhang does anything, he will handle it. Zhang goes intending to punch the protagonist, but our boy stops in midway, saying that's not how a gentleman should act. At this point, the blonde guy orders Zhang to be expelled, and he is taken out, saying he will call his father. Jim then serves wine and says it's great to have a date with a well-nourished girl. She thanks him, saying she will remove the negative review for everything he did. He says there's no need because he likes the negative reviews. They remind him of experiences. With that, they toast and the people around are impressed that he outplayed the blonde guy with money. The well-nourished girl quickly gets to the point that matters most to her and asks how his parents make money. He says his parents died a long time ago and he just drives for a ride-hailing app. She, on the other hand, says she is from the countryside, works in a luxury store, and came to this city to find someone to settle down with. Our boy gets excited, saying there's nothing wrong with a woman wanting to depend on a man. He likes it since it shows honesty. She toasts, agreeing it's true. She takes a sip and says she treated him badly in the Uber because she was mad at a guy who tried to kiss her on a date. He says she was only mad because she didn't like the guy. However, she says that doesn't make sense. She would never be with someone on the first date. Not even the jerk says there's no such rule. If she wants, she can even go for more adult actions on the first date. She says she doesn't believe it. Who would dare to kiss on the first date? Chen stands up, walks to her, grabs her chin, and kisses her. Wow, this guy is bold. The other crazy Chinese guy was Wu Chen. This one is Yang Chen. Man has seen that Chen is the name on the brave ones. He leaves, saying he will pay the bill, but you will sleep in room 1208. The poor girl is in disbelief, wondering why she didn't stop him. However, she wonders why he mentioned the room number. Was it an invitation? In room 1208, our boy just finished taking a shower when the doorbell rings. When he opens it, it's the same woman from before. He goes to say something, but it's too late. She's already all over him. She looks at him and says it's very hot. He says she's very red and started this. With that, he throws her onto the bed. The next day, he wakes up wondering if she's already left. On the nightstand, she had left a note saying he was a good doctor to use the money to enjoy a meal at the hotel. The rascal thought she was interesting. Now back at the Hathing Finance building, he goes to a receptionist, saying he came to receive part of the business there and that his name is Yang Chen. The guy, very excited, greeted him, saying he was the administrator of that place. The girls were thinking he was too young to be the owner of that. However, a guy came over, handing over the paperwork, saying that anything he needed to arrange, just ask. Gang Shan said he wouldn't change anything because it fits the administrators of that place. With that, the guy said he was welcome and told everyone to respect the boy. The employees bowed and our boy thanked them for their good work. With that, he asked the guy to tell him more about the people who rented the 15th floor. The guy went and checked the system, then informed him that the person upstairs had a contract almost ending. Yang turned and said they would take a look. In the elevator, the employee received a message and explained to the protagonist that unfortunately, he had something to resolve today. Our boy said he could go ahead. With that, he stood in front of a door labeled Xinglong Finance. As it was his former company, everyone recognized him as soon as he appeared. A blonde guy asked if he quit and questioned if he needed help finding a job again. Gang said he wasn't interested in that and just asked where Zhang was because he wanted his salary. At that moment, the bald guy appeared, telling him to stop shouting as if it were his house. Yang said he didn't expect the guy to show up and asked about the commission he was owed. The bald guy said that if he wanted that commission, he would have to come back to work there. However, the protagonist mentioned that their contract had nothing like that. Laughing, the bald guy asked where the proof of that was. Yang shouted to the company that the proof was in the minds of everyone who had been through the same situation. The bald guy then questioned the employees if they knew about this so-called 20% commission. Immediately, the first fool stood up, saying that unfortunately, he had never heard of it. Yang wondered if these people didn't realize they could be in the same situation tomorrow. Another guy then came up to him, telling him to take advantage of the boss's kindness. The bald guy warned him to stop being so sensitive and get back to work. While he explained that it was difficult to keep all the employees, everyone was kissing his boots. Yang then announced that he had recorded the entire conversation and that it was shameful he was making this offer. The bald guy ordered the door to be closed and for someone to grab Yang's phone. Outside, the guide were handed over the paperwork, wondered if nothing was happening with our boy. The bald guy warned that Yang would only leave after deleting all the recordings. He grabbed the monitor from the desk and smashed it on the floor, saying everyone saw him destroy it, so now his salary would be reduced. However, Yang calmly said that his recording was still ongoing and explained that his phone sent everything to the cloud, so even if they deleted everything, he would still have the files. The blue-haired guy then said they would teach him a lesson, and when the police arrived, they would say he was a thief. At that moment, someone started knocking on the door. When the bald guy opened it, he asked why the manager was there. The manager asked why they unlocked the door all of a sudden and if Mr. Yang was okay. Confused, the bald guy asked which Mr. Yang he was talking about. The manager pointed to our boy, saying that was Mr. Yang and the boss of the place. He rushed towards the protagonist, asking what was happening. Our boy responded that everything was fine and that the manager had arrived just in time. Confused, the bald guy asked if this man was really the new boss. The manager explained that the guy had paid $2 billion, so yes, he was the new owner of the place. All the employees were shocked, asking if the strip was pretending to live a poor life. The blue-haired guy approached the manager, saying he was probably being deceived. However, he was scolded with the manager saying that if he, the manager, didn't know who the boss was, who would? With that, the bald guy rushed to our boy, saying it was all a misunderstanding. He offered to double the salary so they could forget all about it. Hearing this, the manager asked if he really worked there before. He then turned to the bald guy, warning that the contract stated if the business was dirty, they could lose the lease. Yang smiled, saying that if that was the case, they needed to listen to the recording. The former boss, now desperate, asked if he could please delete it and forget everything that happened. However, Yang responded that he wasn't interested and didn't want another sin from that place. He walked out, saying he would let manager Chen handle the situation. However, the bald guy ran in front of him, asking why he was causing trouble. Yang simply said he wasn't the type to give enemies a chance to survive and told the guy to get out of the way. The former boss asked to negotiate and our boy asked what he had to offer. He then turned to the other employees, announcing that whoever got the phone from Yang would get $50,000. But now that they knew he was the new owner, no one moved. The bald guy increased it to $100,000 in cash and double the salary. Our boy just laughed, saying that in the end, no one respects the words of a lying boss. Jin then took the phone and called for hotel security. 10 minutes later, instead of some strong guys, some very strong women arrived. Chen immediately pointed to the bald guy, telling the women to deal with him. There were indeed a few strong security guards in the real sense. The bald guy, sweating bullets, told them to wait. Our boy just laughed, saying it looked like Chen was going to handle everything. He then told the employees to settle their accounts because when this guy declared bankruptcy, no one would get anything. At this point, everyone started talking about the boss's wrongdoings. Even the blue-haired guy who had defended him said the boss had been cutting salaries for no reason. Seeing them berate the boss, our boy thought how quickly people changed. The boss was now leaving with his things, but he warned Chen that this wouldn't end well. Our boy simply said that he had ruined his own career, so he shouldn't complain. A while later, he informed the other employees that he would open a marketing agency and asked who wanted to join. The guys were excited, raising their hands. But our boy asked the blue-haired guy if he wasn't the former boss's dog. The guy threw himself at Yang's feet, saying he would even go to court against the former boss if Yang accepted him. Yang said he wouldn't accept him even if he killed the boss because people like him can't be kept around. He gave him a swift kick to the butt, sending him away. Turning to everyone he had hired, he announced that the new manager was a girl named Su Xiaoli. She was confused, saying she had no experience in that area. He told her she just needed to learn, and she said if that was the case, she would do her best. Everyone bowed, thanking the new boss. Our boy left, waving goodbye. Finally, it was time for him to return to his real job. As soon as he got into the car, he received a new ride request. He sped off, saying he was finally going to make some money. When he parked, he recognized the girl as a friend from school. She got into the car, saying it was a coincidence to see him there. Our boy asked if that was her boyfriend. She said yes and told her boyfriend that John was a handsome guy famous at the university. The guy with the chin just asked if he seemed popular with the girls. The girlfriend replied yes, saying it was very sad he was never single. She asked about his relationship with his ex, and he said they had broken up a while ago. She asked if it was a shame they had broken up, and our boy said it didn't matter since it was over. The girl said she had to thank him for humiliating her and rejecting her in front of everyone. Her boyfriend asked what that was about. The girl explained that when she was 19, she confessed to the protagonist. However, he not only rejected her, but also humiliated her. Jang said that a long time had passed and he didn't really remember what he said back then. At that moment, her boyfriend offered our boy a job cleaning his company. The ex got excited, saying that job would suit him very well. However, Yang just responded that he was doing fine working as an Uber driver. When he opened the window, she told him to close it quickly so the air conditioning would work. He said he wasn't really in the mood because they were being rude. Her boyfriend warned that he only hadn't hit him because he was her classmate. At this moment, she told him to be careful because the boy was driving the car and could crash with everyone inside. She then ordered the protagonist to turn on the air conditioning or she will leave a negative review. He said he didn't care about the negative review and told her to get out of the car if she didn't want the ride. Her boyfriend angrily told him to stop the car right away. As soon as her boy stopped, the guy got out and kicked his window, telling him to get out of the car. Our boy asked what they thought of the summer weather and sped off, leaving the two behind. The girlfriend was confused, asking where they were. He said it seemed they were left on a bridge with nowhere to go. She immediately went to her phone to leave a negative review. The system informed our boy that he received $2 million for that new review. He was smiling, saying to his son was very pleasant. That he saw that the girl from the car was posting in the university group about everything he had done. He sent a message saying she was lying and then sent an audio recording the whole ride. With that, she was fuming, saying the bastard had turned everyone against her. Her boyfriend said it was okay. He would kill the guy as soon as he had a chance. Yang seemed to have been invited to an event, but said it depended on how he felt that day. When it started to rain, he thought the couple must be having fun on the bridge. He parked somewhere and sent a message saying he was already waiting for the person, apparently. However, it was told him to go out in the rain and pick them up. With no choice, our boy went out in the rain to meet the woman. She said she couldn't walk to the car because her shoes would get dirty. Our boy said she wasn't disabled to be asking for that kind of thing. However, she showed her new outfit and said many people would pay to carry her. Yang insisted, saying he didn't provide that kind of service and told her to walk. She grabbed the umbrella and said he was a real bastard. With that, they both ran to the car. Inside, she warned that he had already made her angry and she would definitely leave a complaint. As soon as they arrived, he told her she could get out and grab her things. However, once again, she said her shoes were dirty and ordered him to drive up the stairs. Yang, confused, said that wasn't possible and told her to get out. She picked up her phone and said she would leave a negative review if he didn't. Obviously, he didn't care and she said that as long as he didn't take her up the stairs, she wouldn't get out of the car. With that, he took the key, closed the door, and told her to relax there as long as she wanted. She got out of the car and he said he was going to get something to eat. What was the problem? Soaking wet? She said she would definitely leave a complaint about him now. However, at that moment he ran back to the car. Before she realized it, he was already inside. He sped off, splashing water on her and laughed, saying it was funny. She thought she would get special treatment. At that moment, the system girl appeared again, congratulating him for receiving another bad review. Since he had complained about not having tea, the system girl said that's what he would get, leaving him a bit confused. She explained that 20 grams of this tea had sold for $200,000 and money couldn't even buy it because it was so rare that he realized he was going to receive something decent. He went to the trunk to see what this item was. Knowing that each ticket for that tea was worth more than $10,000, he was already smiling. Considering the smell was good and it was so expensive, he decided to at least try one of these teas. A system that informed him that due to the series of bad reviews, he would receive a house. While he thought this house would be nice, he thanked whoever had given that review. At that moment, a girl in a black dress approached. Before he could say anything, she got into the car and asked what she thought she was doing. She just handed over the money and told him to drive, saying it would be his. However, Yang said he wasn't a taxi, and if she wanted a ride, she had to request it through the app. She was confused, saying that didn't make sense, and ordered him to start driving. A guy on the phone then approached the car. He knocked on the protagonist's window, telling him to open the door. The girl panicked and begged him not to open it. Yang asked if she knew the guy and she said no. He lowered the window and asked the guy if he knew the girl. The guy said of course he knew her because she was his girlfriend. A girl said that was a lie because they had only met once on a blind date. The guy said her father owed a lot of money, so she would have to pay with her body. She told Yang that if he handed her over, he would be an accomplice to this crime. However, the guy continued insisting, telling him to open the door because it had nothing to do with the two of them. Yang turned to her and told her to call the police, saying he was just an Uber driver and had nothing to do with it. She asked why he seemed so calm in this situation and told him to help a little. He said the one who needed to help was her father, who put her in this situation, not him. At that moment, the guy went to her door and started forcing it open. She grabbed Yang and pleaded for help, but he just told her to call the police. She explained that it wouldn't help because she didn't have the money to pay the guide, so this would just keep happening. At that moment, the guy managed to open the door and grabbed her by the head. Holding her chin, he warned Yang that if he opened the window, he would let him participate. With that, our boy turned the key. The guy warned that if he sped off, he would get into trouble. However, our boy just floored the pedal, leaving the idiot in the dust. The guy took his car key, saying that kid was looking for trouble. Later, the girl was thanking him, saying he was an incredible man. He just told her to stop praising him because he would drop her off at a hotel and she would have to find a taxi. At that moment, someone threw a car in front of his. It was the guy from before, telling him to stop or he would die. The girl, terrified, begged him to speed up. Our boy pulled off a Tokyo drift and sped off. I don't even know how, but he managed to lift the other guy's car. She turned around impressed, saying he was incredible. However, our boy stopped at a bus stop and told her to get out. The girl was clearly not right in the head because she said if he wanted to take her home now and do whatever he wanted, he could. Our boy wasn't interested and just told her to get out of the car. She got angry, calling him a cowardly bastard, but he didn't care and left her cursing at the bus stop. The scene shifts to Villa number 1 in Binjem. The guy handed over the certificate to our boy, saying he was now the owner of the house. Inside, Yang said it was good enough and just needed his clothes. He received a call from the hotel managers who needed a meeting. He arrived and introduced himself to the shareholders. One of the student guys, all smiles, said he didn't expect him to be so young to introduce a guy next to him as the president of the island group and another guy named Zhang Yu, one of the major investors. Hearing about this group of investors caught Yang's attention. The jerk Wan Hong said enough with the small talk. They needed to discuss what happened between the protagonist and one of the guy's sons. The jerk Zhang Yu just asked the protagonist not to be offended by his son's ignorance. Our boy said he had been too insulted that day to forgive the guy so easily. Wan Hong turned to his friend and said he should let it go so they could have a good future. However, the father didn't want to give up, saying his son was just protecting the girl he was dating. Yang asked if there was anything more important to discuss and the Chin guy said no. Yang Min stood up and said he would make it clear that he wasn't interested in these investments and walked out, saying he wasn't in the mood to discuss it. Zhang Yu, angry, asked why this bastard thought so highly of himself and questioned the boss for sucking up to him. Wan Hong told him not to worry, saying he would talk to the protagonist later and everything would be fine. As the other man stood up, he asked him to at least try to get an apology for his son. Our boy was returning to his car for work when someone appeared behind him, saying they finally found him. It was the guy from the parking lot who said it didn't take long. Yang asked how he found him so quickly, and the guy said he told him he would let him escape. With that, Yang asked if he wanted to fight. The guy said no, he was actually there just to destroy Yang's car. They started beating up our boy's car and he stood aside recording everything. The guy said he would have to file a report and it would take at least 6 months for him to get the car back. Just then, a red Ferrari appeared and the girl from before, whom he had saved, got out. She told the guy she had said she would sleep with him that night, so why did he break Yang's car? The guy said he did it because he wanted to and asked if she was sad for him, calling her a worthless woman for going out with a taxi driver. However, she pointed at him, saying he was lucky her family owed money. Otherwise, she wouldn't have dared to talk to someone like him. At that moment, the guy from earlier arrived and asked the protagonist if he had offended the young man, explaining that he was there to apologize for everything that had happened. Our boy put a hand on his shoulder, laughing, and asked if the young man's family was rich, to which the guy confirmed. Gang asked if he knew the guy beating up his car, and he said yes, but the family invested in several other companies. Gang said that if that was the case, there was an easy way to earn forgiveness. The guy asked how they could do that, and our boy said they could lend $50 million to the girl to pay off her debts, and everything would be fine. The guy said it didn't make sense since he had invested $3 billion, so why didn't he have that money? Yang pointed to his own car, saying his profession was Uber driver. The guy asked if he was from a rich family hiding money, and our boy told him to shut up. The guy then said fine, just have someone from her family talk to the investors. At that moment, Yang told the girl he had found the solution for her debts. The girl jumped up, giving him a dangerous hug, saying he was amazing. The fool asked why Zhang's family was investing in the girl. Zhang explained that Yang was one of the major investors in the island hotel, so there was nothing he could do. The guy said it was impossible because he knew that boy worked as an Uber driver. Zhang asked if he didn't realize what was happening, and he thought he understood, saying Yang was a rich man who liked experiencing the life of a poor person. The whole group got scared, asking the boss if they had messed with a rich man's son. The guy pulled a cigarette from the pack, went up to Yang and offered it, saying they could be good friends again. But just then, the police arrived, asking what crime had occurred there. Wang said she called because her friend's car had been destroyed. With that, the guys who had been against the protagonist now turned against a friend. The officer approached and asked why he was beating up people's cars. The guy ignored him and said his name was Zhang Renzi, and his father was the president of the Yale Group. The officer just asked if he was willing to offer compensation. The guy said obviously, but they would have to go through the court process first. The officer told him to stop being an idiot because if he went to court, he would end up in jail. The guy angrily said his father had power, but the officer said neither of them was above the law, pointing his finger at him, saying it would be worse if his father found out about this. The guy said fine and asked the protagonist if 100,000 was enough, but now Yang said he wouldn't accept that payment and wanted to go to court. The guy said 100,000 was really too little and offered 200,000 to settle it now. However, Yang said what he wanted wasn't the vehicle but justice. Yang said he didn't care about tarnishing his name since he already had all the inheritance. With that, the police arrested him, saying he would have to go with them. At the police station, the boy's father came to talk to our protagonist. He asked the protagonist to name a price, but Yang said he didn't care about that. The father offered 500,000, asking if that would be enough. Yang angrily said he had already told him he didn't want money and asked if he was deaf. The father banged the table, saying $1 million was enough and that was the check he brought. Yang ignored him, asking the officer if he could leave. But when he went to write the report, the father stopped the paper, warning the boy that he was too young to meet his end like this. Yang just pulled the paper and said he didn't care about that nonsense. He signed the papers and said those threats wouldn't work on him, turned around saying goodbye and told him he'd see him in court. A little later, he received another negative review and he didn't even know from whom. It seemed people took their time to leave negative feedback. But Yang was excited because it was profitable for him. The assistant bureau gave him a kiss on the cheek, saying what he would receive was a luxury car and he'd get back to work. He was already excited, thanking the girl. With the key in hand, he said he would rest today because tomorrow would be fun. At his house, Yang was sitting comfortably, thinking that life was very cozy. However, some neighbors seemed to be watching from the other side. A girl named Stuiana was there drinking wine while looking at our boy. She asked the maid if they had found out who owned house number 1. The maid explained that they had checked and it seemed the boy was quite ordinary. With that, Lionel was sure she was the son of a billionaire family who liked to keep a low profile. She told the maid to grab 2 expensive wines because they needed to go and meet this person. That night, someone rang a doorbell. Yang opened it, asking what it was, and the maid said she worked at Villa number 8, showed her box and saying that her mistress had sent some gifts. Yang said it was very kind and asked who the mistress was. The maid said the girl's name was Sui Yinan, that she wanted to know his name. Our boy said his name was Yang Chen, and that she was invited to come over for dinner. Back at our home, Sui Yanang asked how it went. The maid said the boy seemed very kind and definitely from a wealthy family. With that, Sui Yanang thanked the maid and told her to go to bed. At home, Yang looked at the clock. He saw that it was early and thought it would be good to do some rides before bed. With that, he drove to a couple and told them to get in. As soon as the girl got in, she said she needed to be at the university before 10:30. Yang said it was impossible to get to her destination in 20 minutes. The guy beside her asked the protagonist to drive very fast, but in reality, he wanted them to be late, so they would have to stay at a hotel. Our boy said it was fine and started to speed up. Suddenly, the boyfriend said that if they weren't there by 10:30, he wouldn't pay and they would have to be brought back. The girlfriend asked why he said those things and he whispered to her that he only said them to make the driver speed up. Yang said it was fine and if he promised, they would get there on time. Suddenly, the app said he had changed the route and needed to return to the original one. With that, the boyfriend yelled, asking why he wasn't following the GPS. Yang said he knew a way that would save 5 minutes and guarantee your arrival. The girlfriend was excited and the fool who wanted to go to the hotel was disappointed. With that, they arrived at the destination. She ran out calling the woman from the hotel and saying she made it on time. She turned to the protagonist and thanked him. He noticed her boyfriend was still in the back and asked if he wasn't getting out. The guy said he had requested a new ride so he could go to this new destination. But then the app notified that he had received a bad review. Yang knew it was this jerk in the back seat. However, with that, the system rewarded him with a combat technique. Our boy felt like he had gained some kind of superpower. He turned to the guy and asked why he left a bad review if they arrived on time. The guy told him to shut up and drive. He would explain later. When they arrived in front of the building, he told him to explain. The guy pulled out his phone and called his friends over. Suddenly, some guys with bats appeared, ready to destroy the protagonist's car again. Yang asked why this lunatic was doing something like this. The guy cursed him, saying he spent the whole night getting the girl drunk only for him to ruin his plans. Yang was confused because it was this boyfriend who got in the car, asking him to speed up. The guy said he didn't care and got out of the car. He kicked the mirror, telling him to get out so they could settle this. Yang was thoughtful since he had just received a combat technique and wouldn't mind testing it. As soon as he got out, the thugs admired his courage and said it would be quick. However, when the fool came running, he told him to wait a moment. The guy laughed, saying if he knew and begged for forgiveness. It might go easy on him. Yang just said it would be better if they left because there was a camera recording everyone. Laughing, the boyfriend said it looked like he had accepted his fate. With that, everyone headed toward an alley. Mao didn't see anything, but he was already coming back with everyone knocked out. A guy with a bandaged head told his friend to be careful who he picked fights with. Another guy, now all beaten up, said he didn't know the other guy was a martial artist. Yang returned to his car and called the guy over for a chat. The fool, full of fear, said if he kept getting beaten, he would die. Our boy said he didn't want to kill him and just wanted to ask something. He grabbed him by the collar and told him to remove the bad review because it was the first ride for that car. With that, he sped off, leaving the guy standing there. He received a call from the guy's girlfriend asking if he was okay. Our boy explained everything that happened and told her to break up with him because he wasn't a good person. With that, he took the call and she immediately asked why he sent someone to beat him up. The guy angrily asked if she felt sorry for that damn taxi driver. The girlfriend, on the other hand, asked if he was going crazy. The idiot, now tired of this, said he knew how to resolve it. And of course, our boy received another bad review. Our boy got out of the car saying that in the end, it was just another gift. He lay down on the bed, thinking that the power he received from the system had made him too strong. At that moment, the system gave him another bonus for body strengthening. The next day, our boy went out for a walk and saw someone passing by. He greeted her, asking if she was Miss Chu. She replied that she knew he was Mr. Yang Chen. Politely, he thanked her for the gift and she said he was welcome. Our boy waved goodbye, saying he had to do his morning workout. She watched him go, thinking he seemed to have good character and came from a great family. That's when Yang had an idea to give her a gift as well. Sometime later, he rang the doorbell. The maid answered and he said he came to return the favor from yesterday. He mentioned that he brought a simple tea and would like to share it with them. The maid was curious, asking what kind of tea it was. From the staircase, Xu Yanan came down, saying Yang was very welcome. He apologized for arriving unannounced, and the maid mentioned the tea. With a smile, she said she would boil some water then. Our boy explained that he had to pick up their car, and so he wouldn't be able to share it. Xu Yanan, descending the stairs, asked what he did for a living. Saying goodbye, our boy said he worked as an Uber driver. She stood there, wondering if he was really wealthy. The maid opened the bag to see what kind of tea he brought. Both seemed confused and decided to ask a specialist. The maid took the bag and left, while Xu Yanan wondered how someone who made a living as an Uber driver could buy the most expensive villa in that place. As always, our boy was off to pick up the next victim, passenger. Juan, all radiant, was waiting for him. Our boy asked if she had called for a taxi. She got in and told him he should buy a sports car instead of driving something like that. Acting crazy, she asked if her legs looked longer when she wore white. She was confused, saying she looked prettier when she was quiet. She felt a bit embarrassed and just told her to buckle up so he could speed up. Sometime later, she invited him to dinner, but our boy said he didn't have time. Yang Chen, ever the psychopath, asked if she wasn't trying to get him drunk. The crazy girl responded that she was. With that, Yang Chen said he wasn't interested in getting then. Convinced, Huang asked about his sexual orientation, certain it was impossible for anyone to reject her. However, Yang just stopped the car and said they had reached their destination. She got out, saying she was sure he must not like women. On the next ride, our boy saw a schoolgirl being cornered. As he approached, she called out to him, saying she had called the taxi. But a guy approached her, saying she couldn't leave until she paid everything. She explained that it wasn't her bicycle at the guy's car. However, he said she wouldn't leave until they resolve it. With that, Yang approached and said there was a camera, so they could just check the footage. The guy pointed at Yang, telling him to mind his own business. But our boy asked if he wasn't ashamed of shouting at a little girl. Suddenly, the guy pulled out a bat from nowhere, saying he would smash Yang's car. Yang said if he could afford to pay for the car, he could smash it all he wanted. The guy laughed, saying Yang's car was so cheap he could buy one with 2 days of work. Yang said if that was the case, why didn't he go ahead and smash it? The lunatic started lifting his shirt, saying it seemed Yang really wanted trouble. At that moment, the guy moved to attack, but then he saw some writing on the car's body. He recognized it and realized that if he hit it, he wouldn't have money for the rest of his life. Yang started provoking him, asking why he was hesitating. But now the fool dropped the bat. He turned to our boy and said probably the wind must have knocked over her bike, so everything was fine. Yang asked where all of his courage had gone. The guy said it was just a joke and nothing had happened as he could see. Yang ignored him and told the girl to get in the car so he could take her to her destination. In the next scene, they had already arrived. The girl, excited, introduced herself as Zhao Dian. Yang kind of ignored her and just told her to go enjoy her time with her classmates. She says she would save his contact to call for other rides. With that, our boy was gone, thankfully. I was worried the story might try to develop that relationship into something problematic. He went to a restaurant to eat something and rest when he received a message from the same girl, saying they were forcing her to drink a lot and she wasn't feeling well. Yang had to go back there immediately. He reached the receptionist and said he wanted to check room 302. But someone approached who was the same guy from before and some friends who had apparently gotten the girl drunk. She asked to go home and the girls beside her said they would definitely take her home. However, Yang kicked him on the tables at Zhang's foot. The guy said it was a coincidence and Yang replied it was impressive he wasn't in jail anymore. Zhang just crossed his arms and told Yang to disappear because he was tired of these games. However, Yang immediately told him to stay put and asked if he hadn't drunk the girl to do something wrong. The girl next to them said no, they were just taking her home. However, Yang showed the message she had sent him and asked what that was then. The fools were embarrassed, realizing he already knew everything. The guy pointed at the protagonist, saying he was the girl's boyfriend, so he didn't need to get involved. Yang said that was fine then. He would call the police and the doctors, and if they found any drugs, it would be incriminated. Jai asked why this bastard was always trying to cause trouble for him. He stormed out, saying if that was the case, he would make Yang's life miserable too. The other girls kicked the girl, saying it had nothing to do with her. With that, Yang turned to the receptionist and asked for a private room for the girl to rest. In the room, he gave her some water and asked what happened. She explained that when she arrived, he gave her a drink, but she immediately felt unwell. Yang said it was obvious they had put some kind of drug in it. She angrily said they should call the police to handle this. Yang agreed, and they made the call. In the next scene, the girl was being taken to the police station. Sometime later, he returned home, and the maid was waiting at the front. He asked why she was there. She replied that Nainon was inviting him for a cup of tea. Our boy said he was very tired because he had had several problems that day. The maid said it was fine, and he invited them for dinner the next day. When she returned home, Nainon asked what happened. She explained that he wouldn't come that day, but he had invited her for dinner. She was excited, saying she would do everything to finally understand who this guy was. The next day, our boy was back picking up passengers. A couple got in the car and he told everyone to put on their seatbelts. However, the guy took off his shoes, releasing a terrible smell. Yang told him to put them back on or he might pass out. The guy with grape-colored hair said he was just an Uber driver and didn't need all those rules. However, Yang warned that if they didn't follow the rules, they would have to get out of the car. The guy responded that if he did that, he would receive a bad review. The girl in the backseat said that even if the guy was sold, he should just endure it. The gang said he wasn't paid to do that and told them if they didn't follow the rules, they should get out. With that, the guy crossed his arms, saying he wasn't getting out of the car. Yang got out, saying that was fine. He went to the guy's window, grabbed him by the arm, and threw him to the ground. The girlfriend started screaming, saying there was an assassin in the act. A commotion started and she pointed at the protagonist, saying he was beating up her boyfriend. Yang explained the situation. The people outside were wondering why the guy was doing Uber with such an expensive car. The gray-haired guy said the car looked normal until he saw a brand called HT, which I imagine might be a BMW or something similar. The girlfriend asked if it was expensive, and he said they might have messed with the wrong person. Yang took his car to get washed and of course received another bad review. With that, the system girl appeared, saying he received 32% of the shares of another hotel. Yang smiled, saying it was really worth smelling that stinky foot. Sometime later, he returned home and saw some chefs standing at the door. Yang asked what that was about. The chefs explained that they were there on orders from Miss Sui Yanan. With that, Yang understood and told them they could come in. In the kitchen, the chefs were impressed because everything in the house was top of the line. However, the head chef warned them to be careful because breaking anything would be disastrous for them. While the cooks were talking to each other, saying that this friend of Miss Sui must be extraordinary. Sometime later, dinner was ready and our boy welcomed Sui Yanan. She asked if he was satisfied with the available things. He said he ate this a lot when he was at home. Sui Yanan obviously thought this confirmed he came from a rich family. She asked what kind of car he liked and he said sports cars. However, he explained that at his current position he couldn't drive one of those. She imagined he was in some kind of family test to live as a common person and would receive everything in 3 years. She then told him to try the meat. He ate, saying it was very tasty. An hour later he was full and she suggested a walk for digestion. With that, they went for a walk near the villas. Suddenly, someone said they had found the bastard. It was Jean again, saying no one could save him now. Sui Yanan pointed at him, asking who they were and saying they had no right to be there. Zhang said he was handsome and introduced himself as the son of the president of the Yao group. Sui Yanan thought it was the perfect chance to earn some points with Yang Chen. She shouted at the guys again, telling them to leave the neighborhood. Zhang, ever dangerous, said if she didn't get out of the way, she'd get hit with a bat. Yang thanked Zhang for coming because he deserved a lesson. The fool responded, telling Yang to stop thinking so highly of himself and ordered his friends to attack. Immediately, 3 guys with bats ran toward our protagonist. Yang moved swiftly, ducking and punching them all. In a second, the fools were all on the ground and Yao Wang was stunned, not knowing how he did it. Yang walked towards Zhang, who was terrified and told him not to come any closer. However, Yang slapped him on the head, telling him to stop making threats. Zhang, still defiant, said Yang would regret this for the rest of his life. Our protagonist was curious to see how that would happen and started slapping Zhang repeatedly. The boy was trembling, begging him to stop. Yang just stared at him and told him it was best if he disappeared from that place. Carried by his friends, Zhang was taken away. Mainan commented that Yang was much more skilled than she had imagined. Embarrassed, he said he learned all from his old master, but was a bit rusty. Confident, she asked how he would deal with the Yao group. Yang said that for now he couldn't do much about them but would handle it soon. Nainon saw another chance to gain his favor and asked if he wanted her to deal with the Yao group as she had a contact there. Smiling, Yang said if she could really do that, he would be grateful. She said he didn't need to thank her because friends were for such things. He then invited her to dine at the hotel restaurant where he had recently acquired 32% of the shares. When she returned home, she told the maid that the boy indeed came from a renowned family and ordered her to start investigations into the Yao group. The next day at a restaurant, the couple that Yang had left on the bridge was discussing why he hadn't shown up yet. The girl explained she had sent numerous messages, but for some reason, he wasn't responding. The guy said if Yang Chen didn't show up, she would have to pay the bill, leaving her confused. Mao and a guy with glasses arrived asking what was happening. The girl's boyfriend explained that he had said he would pay for everything if Yang Chen appeared, but unfortunately, he still wasn't there. The blonde guy said it was embarrassing because he had come for a free meal. The redhead said it was rude to invite two guests like that and then expect them to pay. The girlfriend beat up her boyfriend, saying he was embarrassing her in front of her classmates. Her boyfriend said they were her friends so she wouldn't pay for anyone. Then someone appeared saying enough with the drama. It was a guy in a suit and tie who said everyone should pay for their own meal. He pulled out money, saying it wasn't a problem for him, but he didn't know anyone there. The girlfriend then said she wanted to break up because he was too stingy. The guy, apparently relieved, said he was getting rid of a crazy person. As he left, the man in the suit said they should continue their meal to not spoil the mood. He turned to the redhead and said she shouldn't worry because the food was worth it. However, she replied that after paying the bill, she would have to eat dirt and mud for the rest of the month. The blonde guy made the same complaint. It seemed these Chinese folks were desperate for a free meal. Just then, Yang Chen appeared, apologizing for being late due to traffic. The group welcomed him, mentioning there had been some misunderstandings due to his delay. Suddenly, the waitress arrived with several bottles of wine. She placed them on the table, and the group recognized them as expensive. The redhead asked how much they cost, and the waitress said 128,000. The guy in the suit asked why she was serving that if no one ordered it. She explained that the girl's boyfriend had ordered it before leaving and asked if it could be canceled. Looking at the girls, the guy thought they weren't worth that much money. The waitress said they had already opened the bottles, so they couldn't cancel the order. Yang, flaunting his wealth, said it was fine and he would pay the bill. The girl next to him asked how many rides he would need to pay for something like that. Sometime later, the restaurant manager came in, asking what was going on with the returned wine bottles. That's when he recognized Yang Chen as one of the new shareholders of the place. He approached Yang, asking if he was enjoying the food, and Yang said it was okay. The classmates were now confused about why the manager was being so polite to him. The manager turned to the waitress and ordered her to bring more food and wine. The girl with white hair begged him not to do that because no one there could afford it. Embarrassed, the waiter said it was their greatest honor to serve anything to Mr. Yang. Our boy thanked them and asked them to leave and get back to work. He noticed everyone was silent and told them to continue eating. The girl with white hair said the owner was being strangely polite and the redhead wanted to know how Yang knew him. Our boy explained that he just has some shares in the place. The guy in a suit asked how he has shares in such an expensive place if he works as an Uber driver. Yang says he's a lucky guy and that his father left him a good amount of money. At that moment, the girl from before says that she was very immature and wants to apologize to him. He smiles, saying that before she seemed so confident when she was trying to humiliate him. Crying, she says she regrets it and asks for his forgiveness. Suddenly, the hotel manager enters with the girl's ex-boyfriend, saying he was looking for the protagonist. The fool asks Yang what his relationship with those people is. He gets slapped by the owner, who tells him to respect the biggest shareholder. The fool is completely confused, wondering since when this was possible. He turns to his ex-girlfriend and apologizes, but she just tells him to disappear. Yang looks at his phone and remembers he has a date with Yana. He thanks the restaurant manager, who says our boy is always welcome. Immediately, he leaves and closes the door. The school fools stay there, talking without knowing what to say. The girls break the ice, saying they didn't expect Yang to be like this. The redhead says she really underestimated the boy's potential, and now the crazy ex-girlfriend says she will lose him to those two. Our boy goes to the date at room 318. He opens the door and tells Yinam she looks wonderful. He explains that unfortunately he had to come in casual clothes because he couldn't change. The armed girl says he doesn't need to dress up because he has a well-defined body. With that, the meal is served. Bino is just thinking that if she had to buy all that, it would cost about 300,000. And our boy gets a message from the girl he turned down saying she wants to buy something for him today. She's motivated, thinking that if he gives her a chance, she will become a rich wife. The next day, he wakes up exhausted in bed, not knowing what happened. The people from the beginning, who he set up to run a media office, say that almost everything is ready. The girl he put in the former boss's position says everything will start tomorrow. Our boy looks out the window and says today's weather is perfect for working as an Uber driver. As soon as he parks, the first passenger says he was too late. He apologizes, saying he encountered construction on the way. She gets in and tells him to get to the train in 30 minutes. He looks at the app and says it's impossible, suggesting she reschedule. But the woman says she found out her husband is with another woman at home, so she needs to get there quickly. Our boy just says she should have called an Uber earlier. The crazy lady calls the train station, asking them to wait a bit because she is arriving. Our boy already realizes she has a screw loose. She fumes with rage when she realizes, of course, they will wait for her. When they arrive, our boy tells her she can get out, but she says the service was terrible and she will definitely leave a bad review. With that, she runs to not miss the train. At that moment, Yang gets a message from Zhao Yun saying she needs his help. He speeds up, telling her his central location. A while later, he arrives at the university. The phone obviously indicates he received a bad review. The system girl congratulates him and says he will finally get the sports car he desires. Our boy is excited, saying his Uber will finally be one of the fastest. The only strange thing is that this time the system gave him the key, but didn't say where the car is. He sees some girls nearby talking about an extremely expensive car. Our boy approaches, impressed by something called Bronco. A shiny guy asks if he likes the color. Yang compliments, saying it's not worth 45 million for nothing. With that, the guy tells the car owner that a certain person is coming. He goes to the protagonist and says he will give him $100 if he holds a banner. He calls another bald guy and makes the same offer. Like an idiot, he drops his backpack to show he has a lot of money. The people are impressed, but Yang doesn't seem to care much. He takes a note and offers it to our boy, who says he doesn't find that kind of offer appropriate. The guy asks if he thinks it's too little and says he can pay more. The guy who was going to get the money also asks for help, and that way they divide the amount. They stretch the banner that says he likes Zhao Yan and asks her to be his girlfriend. The boy is there holding the bouquet, thinking he's about to conquer. My God, I can remember she looks like she's 13 years old. This guy needs to be arrested now. She runs away and the girl next to her tells her it's dangerous to get involved with that kind of man. The bouquet fool is confident his strategy worked. He turns to the protagonist and asks if he learned how to win a woman in this world. However, he's completely ignored and she goes to talk to our boy. She asks what he is doing and he responds that he earned a few dollars to hold that banner. Confused, the guy asks if they know each other, and our boy explains that he was once her Uber driver. The guy relaxes, saying it seems that's all there is to it. He then drops to his knees and offers the bouquet, asking her to be his girlfriend. It seems like he wants to go to jail. Thankfully, the girl refuses, saying that being with him never crossed her mind. The poor guy is rejected right in the middle. He stands up asking if she doesn't like him and she confirms. He starts shouting, asking if he isn't handsome, rich, or at least good enough for her. Today yells that she just doesn't like him. With that, she runs to the protagonist, apparently wanting to get our boy sent to jail. The rich kid starts pointing, telling her to stop getting close to that loser. He gets close to Yang and tells him not to get involved with Zayu, or his life will be difficult in this city. Yang just asks if he is really trying to threaten him. The guy says yes and questions what he will do about it. At that moment, Yang receives a message from the system that provides the license plate number of the car he won. As soon as he sees it, he says he understands everything. He looks at the card, saying that the license plate looks very familiar. The rich kid tells him to stop messing around, saying the car costs 40 million. Yang asks if the car belongs to the fool. He knows it doesn't, but decides that since there are no other rich people around, he can flaunt it. He then says of course it's his and tells him not to come near it. However, some in the car starts. Yang says he didn't see the guy take out the key, so how did that happen? The guy points at him, saying it's really not his, but he is sure it's not Yang's either. Then our boy goes to the handle, gets into the car and sits down calmly. The guy tells him that if the owner finds out, he's in trouble. Thank goodness that when Zhao Yan was about to get in the car, she suggested calling her friend to try it out. With that, she saved our boy from eternal jail. She got in all embarrassed, say she could just call a taxi and it would be fine. However, this protagonist seems very eager to go to jail because he didn't like the switch. He turned off the car and told her to get out and actually call a taxi, because it wouldn't work with just the two of them there. With that, he left the fools and went away. Sometime later at a restaurant where they had arranged to meet, the rich kid followed the girls like a psychopath, and now the three of them were there. The only problem was that Zhao Yan couldn't find the protagonist. The guy wouldn't stop pestering her, so she told him to get lost as she had no interest in him. At that moment, the rich kid's sister appeared, saying she wanted to see who was disrespecting her brother. Seeing Zhao Yan, she says she thought too highly of herself for rejecting his offer. However, Zhao Yan pointed out that her brother had no qualities other than coming from a good family. The sister realized she couldn't argue with that. At that moment, he asked about a car and she said it was right over there. They looked over and saw the protagonist's car, but no one knew where he was. Sometime later, he arrived and asked why everyone was outside. He saw Ling Xiao and said he was very persistent to have followed the girl here. The guy pointed at our boy and said the car belonged to Yu Cheng, and he was just fooling everyone. Our protagonist was confused, wanting to know who that guy was. The sister, who had proportions that defied biological logic, said it was impossible for him to have that car while being an Uber driver. Yang Sheng told her not to mind his business too much and to raise her brother better. At that moment, they called security, saying he was causing too much trouble there. But when the guys were surrounding him, someone appeared and told everyone to stay still. It was another suited man who asked if Yang was hurt. He said he was fine and asked who the guy was. The man explained that he was the manager of Baoking restaurant. With that, the people were confused as to why the manager of that place was treating Yang so well. The sister approached the guy and questioned who that person was and why he was being so polite. The guy just told her to pay attention to what she was doing because that was one of the new major shareholders. With that, the one-way ticket to jail was impressed. She asked if that car really belonged to him, and of course, our boy confirmed it. She then turned to the rich kid's sister. It told her to realize that her brother was embarrassing compared to Yang. She, confused, asked the manager if that was really true. The guy told her that apparently she had no skills to work in these places and advised her to forget about the